This is the Sunday edition of the 217 Recovery Podcast. Tonight's episode was carefully selected by Marney.
Could be little, could be big. But going back out is not the answer.
Sit back, relax, or do whatever it is you do, and enjoy Marney's Sunday night replay.
It might be childish, sure, but that's kind of what drugs do, you know?
Sound check, 1, 2.
This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield, Ryan Beckman, and Chris Goss.
March 12th, 2020. Welcome to the 217 Recovery Podcast. My name is Corey Winfield. Chris Goss is in Alaska. Somewhere close to that anyway. And Ryan and Dustin tonight are not on the 217 Recovery Podcast. They started their own podcast last night, but not their own podcast. Still part of 217 Recovery, kind of like Anna is with Broken and Beautiful. Their podcast is called Project Nation. And it was a project. And the things that Ryan had to deal with yesterday, surprised the guy's still awake right now. I think he was out. He had to chair an NA meeting tonight, and Dustin went with him. But they ran into a lot of technical difficulties. Tried to help him as much as I could. Told him, hey, if you need any more help, come holler at me, which they didn't. And I think out of respect for me, they wanted to let me sleep. And I know Ryan's a prideful person. He likes to try to figure things out on his own, by himself. So he kind of did. They ended up posting it under the 217 Recovery Podcast, which I told them, I was like, make sure you don't do this. And then he did. So it is what it is. You won't be able to find it now unless we switch it back over to the Project Nation podcast. But I think, we'll just chalk that up to experience. And, I had to start somewhere once. And I'm not the best podcaster, broadcaster in the world either. So, and neither is Ryan Seacrest. But, they had to start somewhere. And just the fact that they are willing to put it out there and willing to have people say, hey, man, that was horrible. Or, hey, man, I don't agree with you. Or, hey, man, you're not funny. Just to even have the courage to put their neck out there on the line like that, I think is huge. And that's what recovery is about. They're trying something new. And you can say, yeah, but Ryan's been on the podcast for a couple months now. But it's not like that. This is something new for him to take over as the host. It's something new for him. Dustin, it's something new for him. Obviously for him, he is, fresh pretty much out of rehab, out of treatment. And yeah, he's been in treatment before, but this is the first time he's been serious, I want to say, about it. And maybe he was serious in the past, but when you leave treatment and you don't go to a group of guys or a group of women that are serious about the recovery and they're going back into the same old game, or, in some counties here in Michigan, it's funded. You could get your sober living house paid for by Medicaid, and they'll pay for 3 months or 6 months. So when you go there, yeah, they tell you have to have a job, but you don't have to really worry about being thrown out on the street. I mean, maybe you do. My experience, the people who own the houses just like to get the money. They like to get them checks. And some of them out there, okay, maybe they'll work with you a little bit more, but at the end of the day, for them, it is a business. And that's just facts. Not saying they're bad for it. I'm just saying that is a business, and as long as they're getting their money, most of them probably don't care. But anyway, up here in northern Michigan, the counties will not, the Medicaid will not pay for you to live up here because they say there's no need for it or something, which is kind of silly, but whatever, man. So other organizations will kind of fund a person sometimes when they leave treatment to go to a sober living house. And that doesn't mean everybody's serious about it either. I've seen so many people come and go. And being a former manager of a sober living house, I've seen it all. And the position I'm in right now, I just can kind of sit back and it's not my job to say anything anymore. And that's something I kind of want to talk about today, is knowing your place and when it's time to, step up and help people out, and when it's time to just kind of not watch the world go by, but move forward with my own recovery. I'm at a point where, I want to help Dustin. I want to help Brian. I want to help Tyrone. I want to help Chris. I want to help everybody, but I don't want to lose sight of what's going on with me in my recovery and in my life. Recovery does come first, and I have to make sure that I'm on top of my game with that. But it does get easier. I haven't had any cravings. I've had thoughts of drinking, and not even drinking, but just being buzzed. And that's happened a few times, but it was quickly, snuffed out by the reality of the situation and what would happen if I did drink. And I have way too much to lose this time. And I wake up every morning and I tell myself, I'm not drinking again. And I actually say that every morning, but people say, don't say it. I say, I'm never drinking again. I'm not going to leave that door open. Life is too good for me right now. I've only been sober for coming up on 15 months. And this is the best life I have ever been living. And guess what? I don't own a home. I just got a newer car a few months ago, but things are just going so well right now that I know I'm not going to get the coronavirus. I can't. I read in my, maybe I could, but I read in my psychology class the other day that if you're a sociable person and if you're not a worrywart, if you're not stressed out, the chances of you being sick actually are less. And I'm like, well, I'm a sociable person, not really stressed out. Don't get too stressed out nowadays just because I've been through a lot worse. So, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, what could come at me that would make me just freak out? Not a lot. Not like stress-wise anyway. There are some situations that could happen that would be horrible, and I would be very sad or angry, scared, but it's nothing that's going to make me turn to drink. So knowing your place, though, is something that I think can mess with a lot of people. Either they want to be that guy or not be that guy. They want to be put in that situation, or they don't want anything to do with a certain situation, to where it could either be, helping somebody, it could be stepping up, it could be laying down the law, as they say. But you have to kind of know your place, in my opinion, because if you don't, then you don't really know what's going on. And not knowing your place can lead to that stress, that can lead to that, well, I don't really know. I'm not sure. What do I do? But if you go into it, for example, there's a guy that I know that did some work for some people, and then I guess was offered, hey, man, you want the money today, or can we get it to you tomorrow? And he, oh, wait, no. And money is such a funny, tricky subject, too, for some people, because it's like, no, I really don't want money, but you do want the money. You're just trying to play coy. I'm not sure if I'm using that correctly, but, playing coy, like, oh, just, keep it till tomorrow. Like, why? Give it to me now. Until you learn to speak up for yourself. And people in recovery, if we're not using our drugs, we're not sure how to deal with those situations. So a lot of times we just become shy, and we think, we're saying what we want the person to hear. And then it becomes an issue, because then the guy said, hey, the guy said, we'll pay you in a couple of days, or we'll pay you tomorrow, is what he said, I guess. And then he didn't. And then so that leaves some resentments for the guy who could have had his money right then if he just would have spoke up and said, yeah, I'll take my money now, thanks. If he just would have done that, then he wouldn't be feeling the resentments. And I said that to him, and he said, yeah, but then they would have thought that I was a jerk, and that I was being demanding and I wanted the money. And so that's on them to think of that. That's on them to feel that. What are they thinking now, that you're a pushover? That they can keep your money for another week? And not that they did that, but they could. Who knows? And who cares what those other people think? And I explained it to him too, that if you would have just done that, if you'd have taken the money immediately and just said, yeah, it was offered. So yeah, you said you would do work for him. There was an agreement made. Yeah. Give me the money now. You wouldn't be worrying about this right now. And he kind of thought about it for a minute, and he said, yeah, you're right. And he said he was bad in those kind of situations, and that's cool that he realizes it. He knows his place. So in other future situations, not that it's going to happen overnight, and things like this take practice, but at least he can go in with the mindset of, say he owes somebody money, and he did some work for that person, and maybe there was an agreement, maybe there wasn't, but he goes to that person and says, hey, here's the money I owe you. And already going with that mindset of, well, I charge $20 an hour and I work 3 hours, so whatever I was going to owe you, here's the money, but I'm going to take 60 back, and here you go. And if he has a problem with it, then it's on him. Some would say, no, Corey, that's pretty an aggressive way to approach it. But to me, I think it's assertive, because you're showing him, hey, here's the money that I owe you, $20 an hour, 3 hours, there we go. I'll take the 60 back. To me, that's assertive. Some might say, like I said, it's aggressive, but at least you're throwing it out there. And he might come back with, oh, well, you're only worth $10 an hour. Okay, let's compromise. I'll take 40 back, or whatever. But at least you can go into it with that kind of mindset and that kind of situation when it happens again, if it happens again. But to know your place and to know your part in the situations and in life and in everyday relationships that you have with people, don't have expectations, because you don't know what's going to happen. But if you can set your own boundaries, it really clears things up. And that's all in my opinion. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just a guy in recovery, like I said, with 15 months. And these are some things that I have learned along the way, in ways that I've grown along the way. And like right now, I'm in it's not a tricky situation, but it's a weird situation. And I know how I want to treat it, and I know how I want to act. And there are times when people come to me with this and that, and it's not my thing. Like I think there was a song, might have been a rap song. Yeah, it's by Q. And he said, it ain't my problem, it ain't my problem. So that's kind of the role I'm taking. And some could say, oh, Corey, you're just, doing this because, you're lazy, or because, you don't want to help people, and, you don't want to do this and do that. And it's like, well, it's not my problem. I can make it my problem, but I already have 18,000 other problems that I'm trying to do. The recovery rides I got going on. I'm still waiting to hear back from the 501c3, see if that goes through. It should. They got their money. But the ride thing, and then Ryan comes up with the tickets for the White Sox, but then, of course, the coronavirus, NBA's shutting down, football, the NCAA, like, come on, man. Like, really? We just started moving forward, getting some steam. White Sox gave us 52 tickets to 2 different games, so we have 104 tickets. I'm thinking, wow, we could probably, use this as a, donation tool. Somebody donates, we say, hey, look, this is what you get, and jump on the bus with us. We'll take a bus down there, and boom, now they might not even be playing baseball. So I told Ryan, I was like, yeah, that's just our luck, man. But I don't know, we'll figure something out. And we still want to do like a Harley ride. And if you know people who ride Harleys, just ride motorcycles, and let us know, man. And we'll get that going and just do like a sober ride and poker run. That could be fun. It could be real fun. And we can set it up. I should get with Courtney from Skyward Recovery, which that place, again, is awesome. That place is absolutely amazing. It really is. Chris and I went down there last week, and my goodness, that, not that I want to go back to rehab, but wow, like that place would be worth every penny. Like if I had a chance, or if I was going back, I would tell my family, look, if we can get the money raised by the church, like Courtney said, and Toby said, Toby works there too, Toby Hilton. He said, we work with people, just because we don't take Medicaid or Medicare or whatever, doesn't mean that we're not going to work with people. We understand, how it goes and the way it is. So, there are other options, and maybe they can help you get a certain kind of insurance that they will take. I mean, there's plenty of things. Don't just look and go, oh, I'm a Medicaid, I can't go there. Don't think that. Call them. They'll work with you. I'm serious. But that is the place that you would want to go, Skyward Recovery. And they're not paying me. There's nothing like that going on. I'm just telling you my experience. And that's, again, another reason why we don't have advertisers. I was listening to this podcast, The Sober Guy. He's pretty good. It was interesting. But, man, he was just slinging stuff like, oh, this is brought to you by this. This is brought to you by this. Go check this out, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go hang out with football players. It just seemed to me like he lost me. You know, he might have some good stuff to say. Maybe I just caught a bad episode. I know we have bad episodes sometimes. And if somebody was listening for the first time to this episode, they might think, oh, geez, man, this guy is horrible. He's just ranting and who knows what he's talking about. I know he's not a therapist.
Man.
But I don't know. I'm just saying they're not paying us, but it is an amazing facility. We went down there, like I said, and yeah, Skyward Recovery. It's in Augusta. It's just outside Kalamazoo, between Kalamazoo and Battle Creek. Check out their website. If you know someone who wants to go to treatment, needs to go to treatment, maybe you're thinking about going to treatment, you just don't know when, don't know how, you got that job. Well, trust me, your job will understand, or they're going to fire you anyway. So take the time, take what you need. It might seem like 28 days, 30 days, 60 days is a long time, but I'm telling you, it flies by. And the work that you're doing on yourself, you're worth it. 60 days is nothing. I mean, hopefully you still have, I don't know, 20,000 more to live, you know, like 60 out of that, not that big a deal. And then you can actually live the rest of your life healthy. And I mean, if you can catch it young, more power to you. You know, it doesn't matter, in my opinion, your addiction. It matters what you do about it. It doesn't matter if you're, call yourself a junkie and, you're hooked on heroin or pills or cocaine, alcohol. It doesn't matter the addiction. It matters what you do about it. It matters that you get down in there in the deep trenches and find out what's really causing the pain, man. What's causing it? Where did it start? How did it start? And it's going to take a long, hard look in the mirror, and until you get honest with yourself and really, they say it's like an onion, you got to peel back the layers, but seriously, start taking it back and then wonder why this and that. And like I said, for me, it was abandonment issues, being abandoned by my biological father. It was really, really hard, and I didn't even realize it, until I could go back and retrace my steps. And everything I did in high school, like all the stuff that I used to do, it made sense. That I would reach out for attention, and I always wanted to be a part. I went overboard trying to be a part of things sometimes. And it was because I didn't want to be left out. I didn't want to be forgotten. And my brother was kind of the opposite way. He just kind of not flourished in the shadows, but he was kind of like, hey, everybody, don't look at me. I'll be back here just doing my thing. Thanks. Where I, again, like I said, opposite. So, but yeah, it's a long, hard look in the mirror, and it takes time. And I was talking to a guy yesterday. I talk to a lot of guys, don't I? And I was talking with him, and he was talking about women and how he's chasing women. And I said, well, what do you think that's going to do? Is that something that was in your treatment plan when you left treatment? That you were going to chase women? No. Well, what was? How about maybe take a look at that? I'm not telling you what to do, but I would probably start. And I don't know. I just kind of felt bad for the guy, not in the sense of he's overwhelmed or anything. It's just the fact that I don't know. It is what it is, man. Wouldn't be surprised, but if he can pull it together, I started talking to him about what are some things that you like, what are you passionate about, and immediately, as people told me I changed when I would talk about radio, he changed. His eyes kind of lit up, and he started talking about disc golf. Disc golf. I'm like, all right, well, here's what you could do, man. Start a sober league. I would join it. I never went disc golfing, but you know what? Probably could use the exercise. So yeah, let's go. Let's get a league together. What are the rules? Make up your own, man. Like let's do something fun. Recovery golf league, I think would be awesome. How long is the season? let's draw this baby out. Do we get teams? Can we trade players? Like, you can make it whatever you want to do, man. Like, get on it, But he started, and then he kind of went back to, but I don't like women at AA. I was like, dude, perfect. Go have a normal relationship with one then. Yeah, you're going to have normal relationships with people, with women, with men, before you're trying to hook up with them. Like, I don't know. Like I said, is what it is.
Sexual relationship.
Hey, Chris. But no, Chris will be back. Oh, no, he won't. Well, he might be back, but I won't be around Chris on Saturday. So I will try to pull a special guest in on Saturday and go from there. But I'm going to wrap it up tonight. I do have homework that I have to get to. And thanks for listening. Share the podcast with your friends. Like us on Facebook, or on Twitter. YouTube's kind of meh. I don't know. Like, it started, like, you had to post so many things or something, or it would only play like 5 minutes or 15 minutes of the clip, and then it would switch to another track. And then if you listen to it, so you really listen to it backwards. So I kind of gave up and put it back on my own YouTube. So if you do listen on YouTube, there you go. iHeartRadio, Spotify, you know how to find us. 217recovery.com. You can go there for resources. There's links. Kirsten's Ride, thanks to them again for the suicide training, the suicide prevention training. Let me reword that. That went down the other day, on Tuesday. I got my certificate. I'm certified as an assist. So that was very cool. Kirsten's Ride, their link is up there. If you know someone needs help, maybe you need help. You never know when you're going to need those skills and when you can save a life. And to pick up on the cues that are coming at you, that happens more than you think. And to know how to approach a situation and get the proper training and know exactly what to do and how to work with that person, it's amazing. I recommend everybody do it. Actually, this is something I think they should teach in school, but that's just me. 217recovery.com, under resources and help services, you'll see the different links there. And harm reduction, Michigan as well. If you have never heard of that or not too familiar, check them out. And some people think they're controversial, but they give out needles. You think, well, why would they give out needles? Well, you realize the people out there that are using will pick a needle up out of a toilet and use it, if that's what it means. So that's how diseases are spread. That's how people get sick. And that is not good for anybody. So if you need links to find out more about them, like I said, resources, help services, 217recovery.com.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. For more episodes plus bonus features, download the 217 Recovery app.